At her peak, Katy Perry stood unmistakably at the summit of global pop music. 5 number-one singles from a single album. Stadiums filled across continents. A public image associated with hundreds of millions in revenue, visibility, and cultural presence. Yet behind the bright colors, fireworks, and candy-coated anthems, the long-term cost of global pop stardom was quietly accumulating. In the next hour, you'll discover how a pastor's daughter from California became one of the most recognizable pop figures of her generation, why her greatest success carried an unseen strain, how strategic business decisions reshaped her career trajectory, and what her journey reveals about fame in the modern music industry. Subscribe, and stay until the end for a perspective that may permanently change how you hear Katy Perry's music. Catherine Elizabeth Hudson was born on October 25, 1984, in Santa Barbara, California, into a deeply religious household. Her parents were Pentecostal pastors, and faith defined nearly every aspect of daily life. Music existed, but within strict boundaries, limited almost entirely to gospel and church performances. Mainstream radio was discouraged, and concerts were religious gatherings rather than entertainment events. From an early age, music became both expression and structure. She learned piano, developed vocal discipline through church singing, and absorbed harmony long before encountering pop culture. Yet this sheltered environment would later create an internal tension between personal upbringing and public identity that followed her throughout her career. At just 15 years old, Hudson left home to pursue music professionally. Her debut album, Katy Hudson, 2001, was a contemporary gospel record released by Red Hill Records. Commercially, it struggled. Soon after, the label shut down entirely, and the album disappeared from distribution, effectively erasing her first professional chapter. What followed was a prolonged period of rejection and uncertainty. She relocated to Los Angeles, signed development deals, was dropped by labels, and wrote hundreds of songs that never reached the public. Industry executives recognized potential but struggled to place her. She was perceived as too unconventional for mainstream pop, yet no longer aligned with the gospel market. This largely invisible phase, rarely highlighted in retrospectives, forged resilience. Years later, Perry would describe this period as foundational. In an interview with Rolling Stone, she reflected that repeated rejection taught her patience, discipline, and persistence long before fame arrived. In 2006, she made a decisive shift. Adopting the stage name Katy Perry, using her mother's maiden name to avoid confusion with actress Kate Hudson, she reset her artistic identity entirely. She signed with Capitol Records, marking a strategic reinvention, a new sound, new visual language, and a new narrative. The industry had not yet noticed, but the transformation was already in motion. Katy Perry's breakthrough arrived in 2008 with the release of One of the Boys. The album introduced a bold, playful persona that contrasted sharply with her religious upbringing. Its lead single, I Kissed a Girl, immediately sparked global conversation. The song climbed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topped charts in multiple countries, becoming both a commercial success and a cultural talking point. While critics debated its framing and intent, audiences responded decisively. The attention was immediate, and for the first time, Perry had achieved the visibility that had eluded her for nearly a decade. But One of the Boys was only the opening act. In 2010, Perry released Teenage Dream, an album that would redefine her career and place her in rare company within pop history. 5 singles from the album, California Girls, Teenage Dream, Firework, E.T., and Last Friday Night, TGIF, each reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. This achievement tied a long-standing record previously held only by Michael Jackson. According to Billboard, the album remained a dominant presence on global charts for over a year, generating sustained radio play, digital sales, and streaming longevity. Each single was paired with a highly stylized visual identity, turning music videos into cultural events rather than promotional tools. Professionally, Perry had mastered the intersection of music, branding, and spectacle. Her aesthetic was vivid, surreal, and instantly recognizable. Rather than presenting a single static image, she constructed a colorful universe, one that felt cohesive, deliberate, and commercially precise. Financially, the results were substantial. Worldwide tours sold out consistently, with revenue reaching into the hundreds of millions. Brand partnerships and endorsements expanded her visibility beyond music, positioning her as a global pop figure rather than a chart-dependent artist. During this period, Forbes repeatedly listed Katy Perry among the world's highest-paid entertainers. Yet this unprecedented success carried a less visible cost. The pace was relentless. Album promotion overlapped with international touring, award appearances, and constant media obligations. Rest became rare. Expectations escalated with each release, and success itself became the baseline rather than the achievement. Privately, the strain was growing. Perry's marriage to comedian Russell Brand ended in 2012, during the height of her touring schedule. In later interviews, she acknowledged that the imbalance between personal relationships and professional demands played a significant role. The separation unfolded. While she remained publicly present, performing, promoting, and maintaining the image audiences expected. Creatively, Teenage Dream became both her greatest triumph and her heaviest benchmark. It established a level of dominance that would shape every expectation moving forward. The higher she climbed, the narrower the margin for reinvention became. And as the pop landscape began to shift, the industry quietly posed a difficult question. What happens when an artist reaches pop perfection, and there is nowhere obvious left to go? If you've learned something new so far, tap like. It helps this story reach others who care about music history and the real cost of fame. By the mid-2010s, Katy Perry had achieved a level of success few artists ever experience. But pop music rarely rewards stability. Trends evolve rapidly, audiences shift, and cultural expectations change. For Perry, the challenge was no longer ascent, it was longevity. Her fourth studio album, Prism, signaled an intentional pivot. While retaining commercial appeal, the album leaned toward themes of resilience, self-empowerment, and introspection. Singles such as Roar and Dark Horse reached #1, confirming that her mainstream relevance remained intact. The accompanying Prismatic World Tour reinforced her financial strength. According to industry reports, the tour grossed over $200 million globally, establishing Perry as one of the most reliable live performers of the decade. In 2015, Forbes named her the highest-paid female musician in the world, driven largely by touring revenue and long-term brand partnerships. On paper, her position appeared unshakable. But cultural momentum was shifting. By 2017, Perry attempted a more pronounced reinvention with the album Witness. Publicly, she framed the project as a reflection of personal growth and broader awareness. The rollout was ambitious, including a widely viewed live stream that documented her daily life over several days, a level of transparency uncommon for artists at her scale. Commercially, Witness debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. However, its singles did not replicate the sustained chart dominance of previous eras. Critical reception was mixed, and public discussion increasingly centered on expectations versus outcomes. For the first time, scale alone was not enough. Behind the scenes, Perry spoke candidly about the challenges of separating her private identity from her public persona. In interviews with Vogue and Rolling Stone, she described periods of fatigue from pace, creative pressure, and the difficulty of navigating relevance in a rapidly evolving industry. Importantly, this period was not defined by financial instability. Perry's earlier success had created long-term security, allowing her flexibility to recalibrate rather than retreat. In 2018, she joined American Idol as a judge, entering a new phase of visibility. The reported multi-year television contract provided consistent income and expanded her presence beyond the traditional album tour cycle. It also signaled a strategic diversification, a move increasingly common among established artists seeking sustainability. This era marked neither a collapse nor a comeback. It was a recalibration, and it revealed a broader truth of modern pop stardom. Remaining relevant often requires risk, and risk carries consequences. The next phase of Katy Perry's story did not begin with a chart push or a visual reinvention. It began with a personal shift. In March 2020, Perry announced she was expecting her first child with actor Orlando Bloom. Later that year, their daughter was born, a moment Perry would later describe as transformative. For the first time in her adult life, momentum was no longer the primary metric of success. Motherhood reshaped her priorities. The project emphasized stability over spectacle, clarity over competition. Industry observers noted that Smile marked a departure from the traditional pop arms race. Rather than chasing virality or trend alignment, Perry leaned into consistency and personal alignment, a shift increasingly common among artists who had already reached the industry's highest tiers. Financially, this recalibration coincided with a strategic move. In December 2021, Katy Perry launched her Las Vegas residency, Play. Originally announced as a limited engagement, the residency was extended multiple times due to sustained demand. According to Billboard, residencies have become one of the most efficient financial models for established artists, offering high production value with controlled schedules and reduced touring strain. For Perry, the residency represented both economic efficiency and creative autonomy. It allowed her to revisit her catalog on her own terms, without the pressure of global touring cycles. Beyond music, her role on American Idol continued to provide stability, visibility, and influence. Television work expanded her audience reach while reinforcing her position as an industry veteran rather than a trend-dependent performer. This stage of her career reflected a broader evolution within the music industry itself. Pop stardom was no longer defined solely by chart positions or constant reinvention. Longevity, adaptability, and balance had become markers of success in their own right. Katy Perry no longer pursued every cultural moment. Instead, she curated presence. Katy Perry's story is not a simple narrative of rise and decline. It is a case study in scale, expectation, and endurance. She achieved extraordinary success early, redefining what pop dominance could look like in the digital era. That success delivered financial freedom, cultural reach, and global recognition, but it also intensified pressure, narrowed creative margins, and blurred the line between identity and persona. Her career illustrates a central paradox of modern fame. The very systems that elevate artists can also limit their ability to evolve without consequence. By choosing recalibration over constant escalation, Perry demonstrated a different form of longevity, one rooted in sustainability rather than spectacle. Her journey reflects an industry increasingly shaped by adaptability, where knowing when to redefine success may matter more than staying permanently at the top. And within that story lies a question that extends beyond any single artist. Is pop stardom about holding the spotlight forever, or about learning when to change what the spotlight means? If you enjoyed this documentary, watch Lil Peep's Secret: What the Industry Hid From You next. Want a documentary on another artist or era? Tell us below, we read every comment. Subscribe and hit the bell. New music documentaries every week.